Hey everyone, welcome back to Little Rose Potters. If you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. And if you've been around for a while, you know we are all about handmade ceramics, behind the scene processes, and a lot of clay filled creativity. Today, this video is going to be about preparing slip for slip casting. I have had quite a few people ask me how I get my slip ready before I pour it into a molds. So I thought I would walk you through the entire process step by step. So let's get started. Right here, I have a 5-liter bucket of store bought casting slip. It's ready made, which saves time, but it still needs a good mix before we can actually use it. Now, even though the slip looks okay on the surface, you'll notice that if it's been sitting for a while, the heavier particle settles at the bottom and the water rises to the top. So we need to mix it thoroughly to bring everything back to a smooth, even consistency. To do this, I use a power drill. This one is from Milwaukee. It's my go-to tool for mixing slip, and honestly, it saves a lot of time and efforts compared to mixing by hand. But don't worry if you don't have the exact same one. Any study drill will work as long as you attach a good mixing paddle. I'm going to mix it for about 15 to 20 minutes. It might seem like a long time, but trust me, it makes a big difference in the end. It's been about 10 minutes and already you can see how the consistency is changing. It's becoming much more fluid and silky, not too thick, not too watery, just the way I want it. This is super important because if your slip isn't mixed properly, your final piece might have air bubbles, uneven walls, or even dry out weirdly in the mold. So it's totally worth taking the time to get this part right. Now that our slip is nicely mixed and has that silky flowing consistency, the next really important step is sieving. And trust me, you don't want to skip this step. Even if your slip looks perfectly smooth on the surface, it can still have unwanted stuff in it. Things like dried clay particles, little chunks that didn't fully mix, and even hairs. So to make sure all that is removed, we are going to run the slip through a sieve. I have got a metal mass sieve here. It's pretty fine one which is great for catching even the tiniest particles. You can find these at ceramic supply stores or even use a kitchen strainer if you are just starting out. I place it over a large bowl or container that will collect the clean slip underneath. Then I slowly pour the slip into the sieve in small batches. It's better to go slow than dump it all in and overwhelm the mash. Now, this part takes a little bit of patience. Slip is thick and it doesn't just run through like water. So, to help it pass through the mesh, I used rubber rib. This flexible little tool is super handy. I gently press and smooth the slip around the circle, working it through the sieve without forcing it too aggressively. You can also use a spatula or even your hands, but I like how the rubber rib gives a nice even pressure without damaging the mesh. As you do this, you'll start noticing that kind of stuff that gets left behind. Small dry chunks, bits of old clay that didn't dissolve properly, or sometimes even little fibers or hairs that are impossible to see while mixing. This is all the stuff you don't want ending up in your final piece, especially if you're making something detailed or delicate. If your sieves start to clog or slow down, just lift it up, give it a rinse in your water bucket, and start again. Having a second clean sieve or a spray bottle nearby also helps keep things moving. And it's totally okay if this step takes a bit of time. It's part of the process and it really pays off in the final result. Once everything is sieved, you'll end up with beautiful smooth slip underneath, perfect for casting. It should flow like thick cream or melted chocolate, just enough body to hold shape but smooth enough to pour easily into your mold. Oh, and don't forget to keep the bucket of water nearby. Working with slip can get a little messy, and it's nice to have a spot to rinse off your hands or tools without having to run back or forth to the sink. Now that the slip is mixed and sieved, we are going to set it aside and let it rest overnight. Letting it sit like this helps any remaining bubbles rise to the top and allow the clay particles to fully hydrate. It also helps the slip settle into an even better casting consistency by tomorrow. I usually just cover the bucket loosely and leave it in the cool spot in the studio. All right, fast forward to the next day. I already have some slip in the bucket from earlier, but I need to top it up. So I am making a batch that we prepared yesterday and adding it in. Before using it, I like to give it a quick mix again just for a few minutes because sometimes things can settle again overnight. You'll notice that the surface has leveled out and looks more uniform, kind of like a thick pancake batter. There is no foam sitting on top, which means most of the air bubbles have escaped. That's exactly what we want, especially if you're making peas with smooth surface or fine details. It has this soft velvety look like cream soup or melted chocolate. This consistency is a good sign that the slip is fully hydrated and ready to work with. You can also run your finger across the top and you will feel how smooth it is. No lumps, no dryness, no gritty texture. It's super satisfying. Letting it rest like this also help with casting because now the slip will pour more evenly into the molds and it will coat the inside without forming bubbles or thick spot. I will mix it up again with my drill. Then we are going to sieve it again. You might be wondering why sieve it twice. Well, sometimes particle can sneak in overnight and form the air, especially in an open studio space. So I like to double check before I start casting. And look at that, you can actually see small hairs and bits getting caught into the sieve. Imagine the ending up in your finished pieces, not idle. Now the slip is smooth, consistent, and free of debris, ready to use in the plaster molds. This process might seem a little bit long, but it's honestly one of the most important steps in slip casting. Preparing your slip properly means fewer problems later, cleaner molds, stronger pieces, and less waste. I hope this video gives you a good look into how I prepare my slip here at Little Rose Potters. If you found it helpful or you just enjoy watching ceramic content, please give this video a like or subscribe for more clay adventures. Let me know in the comments if you want a tutorial on plaster molds or casting tips. I would love to hear what you are working on too. Thank you so much for watching.